Hello, and welcome to another video from
Vault of Bonkers.
Welcome to our latest countdown, where we're diving into the wild and trippy world of rock and roll's most infamous acid casualties. From psychedelic pioneers to tragic casualties, we're counting down the top 5 musicians who let their experimentation with LSD take them on a journey to the edge of sanity and beyond. So get ready to turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Get that vault open!
Vince Taylor, an English rockabilly star, rose to prominence in the early 1960s with his electrifying performances and catchy hits like Brand New Cadillac. With his flamboyant style and charismatic presence, Taylor earned a loyal following and became a symbol of the emerging rock and roll sensation. His star began to shine brightly as he built up a reputation that paralleled the glam and excitement of the early rock era. However, it was in the midst of his rising fame that Taylor began to experiment with LSD, drawn into its alluring promise of expanded consciousness. The effects of LSD had a profound impact on Taylor's mental state. What began as a creative exploration soon led him down the path of erratic behavior and increasing instability.
So Vince Taylor took one of these acid things, steamed out on a trip, thought it was fantastic, said, I've got another one. Vince bought like 200 pounds of this LSD and kept on taking it for like 2 or 3 days and was still taking it when he got back. And poof, his mind just freaked out into the clouds and never came back again.
David Bowie remembers Vince.
I met him in Gioconda one day and the guy was right out of his tree. I mean, he was playing with half a deck. I mean, this guy was bonkers. Absolutely the genuine article. I can't remember if he said he was an alien or the son of God, but he might have been a bit of both.
And we was all sitting around, and he just walks in, and we knew something was wrong. He just looked at us, he said, "You think I'm Vince Taylor, don't you?" "Well, I'm not." He says, "My name is Matthews. I'm the son of Jesus Christ."
Vince Taylor struggled with mental health issues for years, often living in isolation and dealing with the consequences of his drug use. His unique style and persona left a lasting impact on rock music, influencing a new generation of artists who embraced glam and theatricality.
One, two.
Skip Spence was the original drummer for Jefferson Airplane and later formed the influential band Moby Grape. With a remarkable knack for songwriting and musicianship, Spence contributed significantly to the vibrant San Francisco music scene. His early days were filled with excitement, collaborating with other legendary musicians and contributing to the counterculture movement. As a talented craftsman behind the drum kit and as a songwriter, Spence looked poised for a brilliant career. However, the prolonged use of LSD began to warp his perspective, manifesting not just in his art, but in his personality. At the height of Moby Grape's success, Spence's mental health started to unravel due to his increasingly erratic behavior and drug use, leading to tumultuous episodes while on tour.
I think Skippy got introduced to some drugs. I saw him one day, it was a nice hippie, and then all of a sudden he looks like he's shaved with an axe, and he's got chains dangling in a big leather thing, and he's sweating like a pig. And all of a sudden it's all changed.
Skip's behavior was so erratic that one evening he grabbed an axe and went looking for the band's drummer, Don Stevenson.
All of a sudden, everybody around there is freaking out and say your guitar player came in there and axed your door down, which we'd have never been able to figure out what he had in mind, but it couldn't have been good.
Skip Spence eventually spiraled into severe mental health issues, culminating in a brief hospitalization and a descent into a world of isolation, marked by delusions and paranoia. Although he attempted to return to music years later, including the release of his solo album Or, the impact of his earlier experiences remained etched in his psyche.
he got taken off to the mental hospital. He was institutionalized for about 6 months.
After his release, Skip Spence struggled once again to find the music among the madness. Hoping to start a new life, he left San Francisco for Nashville, where he recorded his first solo album.
You can hear his mind disintegrating as he's making this record. The album starts out with beautiful, gorgeously crafted pop songs, and then gradually turns into just sort of whacking on drums and playing a little bass and mumbling stuff every once in a while.
Struggling with bipolar disorder and addiction led to a long battle with mental health that overshadowed any subsequent successes. Though he eventually found some solace in playing music again, Skip Spence's story remains one of lost potential and resilience, serving as a reminder of the often tragic intersection of creativity and drug abuse.
Tell the world it's coming. Is this the 13th floor? Must have the wrong elevator.
Rocky Erikson is a pioneer of the psychedelic rock genre, best known as the frontman for the iconic band The 13th Floor Elevators. Erikson was a trailblazer known for his otherworldly sound, driven by his fusion of blues, folk, and rock with psychedelic influences. Before becoming heavily involved in LSD experimentation, he created groundbreaking music that explored themes of space, existentialism, and other avant-garde concepts.
I think there's no question about the impact that the Elevators would have throughout the American music scene. The bands of the Bay Area were still drawing upon a more folk-based kind of thing, and when the Elevators showed up, things changed real quick.
The band's early works, especially their acclaimed album The Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators, showcase his raw talent and innovation as artists, propelling them to the forefront of the psychedelic movement. Unfortunately, Rocky's heavy use of LSD began to take a toll on his mental health, leading to paranoia, hallucinations, and eventual psychiatric struggles.
Rocky's second acid trip hurt him. Hurt me too. Tommy gave us too much. I had a real bad trip, and but he didn't admit that he had a real bad trip. He kept on taking the acid, thinking everything would get better. I quit.
In 1969, following an arrest for possession of marijuana, he was forcibly committed to a mental hospital where he underwent electroconvulsive therapy and was prescribed various medications. This traumatic experience further compounded his struggles as the effects of LSD merged with his deteriorating mental state, distancing him from his identity as a musician.
Listen, son, you've taken over 300 LSD trips, and you may regress, so we don't know about letting you out of God, yeah.
Let me explain where my memory is gone. All right, Rocky, what's the date? Why do I have any need for knowing the date? I'm never going to get out. So I would just forget. I would just say, well, Rocky, you're in here forever. You might as well not remember any kind of success you've had or anything that you're talented about most here. Forget it. Just forget it, man, because you don't have a chance.
The wave of psychological turmoil he experienced transformed him from a vibrant performer into a shadow of his former self, battling demons that severely challenged his mental health for decades.
What do you think of your own music? How do you classify it? Is it new wave? Is it?
Well,
what do you call it? Is it horror rock?
Yeah, horror rock. What I did, is I just got all these pieces of paper and kept trying to sign it. And
What did you sign? What did you sign?
Well, I just signed my soul to the devil.
Why did you do that?
Well, because that's the only way you can be sure that the devil always has possession of me, so that I won't make a mistake. You know what I mean?
Despite these difficulties, Rocky Erikson's resilience shone through, and he gradually began to reclaim his life and musical career in the late 70s. His story took a turn for the better as he released several solo albums, showcasing his enduring talent, and eventually gained recognition in the alternative rock scene. Smith was your stereotypical California kid in the mid-60s. His clean-cut image and good looks helped him land a role as a regular cast member on The Andy Williams Show. He was a short-listed candidate for the Monkees and was a promising songwriter, penning tunes for Williams and the Monkees, among others.
Hey, this is a beautiful spot, isn't it? Boy, it sure is. It doesn't look like anybody's ever been here before. How'd you ever find it? Oh, it's an old woodsman trick I learned when I was a Boy Scout. You just follow the trail of the empty beer can.
Smith's star seemed to be rapidly rising, but then things went south very quickly. Smith, like many young people at that time, started going on LSD-fueled journeys of self-discovery and decided to use his entertainment industry earnings to travel what's known as the Hippie Trail, an above-ground trek from Europe into Asia. On that trip, Smith was viciously robbed, beaten, and sexually assaulted in Afghanistan, and when he returned to Los Angeles in 1969, it was clear that he was not the same guy his friends had known. Smith began suffering from intense delusions and would refer to himself as Maitreya Kali. Smith prophesied that he would be king of the world by the year 2000. He claimed to be a reincarnation of Jesus, Buddha, and Hitler. As his erratic and bizarre behavior became more pronounced, such as claiming voices were telling him to kill people, his friends started to ignore him. He visited Heather and Sheila McRae in Miami and was asked to leave by Sheila's new husband after he woke up to find Smith standing over their bed with a knife. His mental health problems continued, such as suggesting to a friend that they fight to the death using samurai swords. He also had a small black spider tattooed in the middle of his forehead. On April 22, 1973, Smith attacked his mother at the family home. He was sentenced in November 1973 to 6 months to life. He still wrote music though, and in 1972, Smith went to Custom Fidelity Inc. with a handful of tapes to put together 2 albums, Apache and Inca. He filled the LP's packaging with unfocused writings on religion, music, drugs, and himself, giving some insight into his fractured state of mind at the time of recording. In the years following his departure from rock music, Craig Smith fell into obscurity, battling addiction and mental health issues that stemmed from his experiences with LSD. Before his journey into the chaotic world of psychedelia, Sid Barrett was the charismatic frontman and creative force behind Pink Floyd. With his extraordinary guitar skills and vivid songwriting, Barrett, born in 1946, played a pivotal role in crafting the band's early sound, which blended rock with surreal, dreamlike imagery. His songs like Arnold Lane and See Emily Play showcased his talent for merging catchy pop melodies with abstract lyrics, quickly catapulting him to fame and establishing him as a muse for the burgeoning psychedelic movement of the 1960s. However, as Pink Floyd's success soared, so did Barrett's experimentation with LSD, which drastically altered the fabric of his creativity and mental state.
I ran into Sid and his girlfriend Lindsay in Cambridge Circus one evening in May, and she looked really worried, and he was just lying in the gutter, and she told me that he'd been taking acid every day for 7 days, and she looked really anxious. And then when they came back and played in June, Sid was no longer the same Sid. He was kind of like nobody home. And the glint was gone from his eyes, and he just stood on stage and went long stretches without playing the guitar at all that night. And you could see the rest of the guys were, really didn't know what to do. But they sort of worked through it and played. Rick did long, noodly keyboard solos, and but it was very sad.
As he delved deeper into the world of psychedelics, Barrett's behavior became increasingly erratic, leading to noticeable changes in his personality and public persona. The vivid hallucinations and transient glimpses of a deeper consciousness he sought through LSD began to take a toll on his psyche. He became more withdrawn, prone to unpredictable outbursts, and often lost in his own world, estranging himself from friends and fellow band members.
So I went round after not seeing Sid for about 2 years, and I knocked on the door. He opened it, he shook my hand. "Pee-wee, it's lovely to see you," like normal. Got inside the room, there was no conversation. He would just... And I didn't think anything at the time. It didn't actually kind of dawn on me that anything was wrong. I mean, I hadn't seen him for 2 years, probably longer. But we didn't sob long. We just kind of exchanged a little bit of, how are you? And he said, "Oh, come and see me again." And it was a few weeks down the line, I went over one evening, and completely different thing altogether. Knocked on the door, he said, "Hello, Pee-wee, come in." And he'd moved this table into the middle of the room. There was a stereo playing full blast, TV full blast, 2 chairs. We sat down and he just went blank. There was a stare, and he stared right through me. And he just sat there peeling an orange like it was a globe or whatever, the universe. And I felt it put me very uneasy. I started getting a little bit like, what's going on here? And I knew then something wasn't right.
Ultimately, the band was forced to replace him with guitarist David Gilmour in 1968 due to his inability to perform and the growing concerns over his mental health, exacerbating the effects of LSD and leaving Barrett isolated from the very success he had helped create. In the years that followed, Barrett faded into obscurity, retreating from the music scene and living a reclusive life in Cambridge. He released 2 solo albums, The Madcap Laughs and Barrett, which reflected his fragile mental state and the remnants of his once brilliant creativity. However, both records struggled to garner the same attention he once had under Pink Floyd. The haunting melodies and fractured lyrics documented the impact of his LSD use, marking a poignant reminder of a talent lost to the chaos of drugs. Despite his struggles, Barrett's legacy as a brilliant yet troubled artist endures, influencing countless musicians and captivating fans who recognize the dark side of psychedelic fame. And there you have it, folks, our top 5 countdown of rock and roll's most notorious acid casualties. Thanks for joining us on this far-out journey. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more mind-bending content. And remember, always trip responsibly. Until next time, stay bonkers.